There's always going to be a gadgets question. Any progress on gadgets like trip sensors, scanners, remote detonated charges, and so on?
So I've got an answer, and it has the word Squadron 42 in, so I'm going to read it off the page. Currently, we have the deployable shield, breaching charge, and some other bits in Squadron 42, and do plan on shipping that in the PU in the future. We also have an area denial grenade coming this year as well. We plan to add more gadgets in the future, and we do like doing some surprise community wants, like the binoculars, which are much asked for.
That's cool. Luke, this might be, I don't know, I'm guessing. What plans are there to make clothing serve a purpose when an undersuit and armor is better in almost every way?
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, clothing is never gonna have the same fulfill the same purpose as those things, but it's never gonna be space worthy. But we are, working on combat clothing, which will have more damage mitigation. So if you want to imagine a kind of John Wick style suit, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think the main problem now is that it's one or the other. You have to wear clothes or you have to wear armor, right? And that's where Star Wars is going to come in and change all that, because the purpose of clothing is cosmetic. It's to dress, the way you want to look. So to just go into that in a bit more detail, that scenario, but it's probably more useful to wear the kind of combat clothing we were talking about.
There's never been an MMO where cosmetics isn't the end game.
A couple of people in chat were right away. Fashion Citizen is end game. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask one more question before we go to Luke and his treatise here. Are there plans to add spatialization for sound in FPS? I think sound plays a major role in combat, but currently we can't locate our enemies or tell if they're wearing heavy or light armor.
I've talked to the audio team, and they're really keen on enjoying this armory factor, reworking what we've got so far, so that if you're wearing a heavy suit, you actually sound extremely heavy. But beyond that, they really want to have the wearer feel that they're in a heavy, suit. So if you're wearing that massive radiation suit, you'll feel isolated, everything will be muffled around you as well.
So worth pointing out that footsteps have gone through a big iteration in Squadron as well, in terms of like when you sprint in SC right now, it's, you get essentially you have the heel down and the foot forward making a noise, but now it's just one foot plan. It's also reading the context of the environment as well. So if you're on railings, it will make railing noises and things like that. So we've gone from a generic footstep noise to an environmental context noise.
When weapons like the pulverizer have a slowdown effect from having them equipped on the back, are there plans to give them weapon inertia as well, as in they handle slower than other weapons?
So just to start off that, they don't have a slowdown effect, they just weigh a lot, and depending on how much weight you have on your character moves slower. Mm-hmm. So we don't do this gives you a 20% movement speed debuff just because you have this weapon on. It's systemic, there's weight, the more weight you have, the more you slow down. But yeah, go on.
The ability to have your MFDs cast to the visor, which I think everyone has right now when they sit in the ship, that's going to be for flight-specific helmets. And ship handling as well will be impacted by wearing medium or heavy armors. So that means that your inputs are slower. So if you make a hard turn, it will take it slower if you've got medium and heavy armor on.
G-force resistance.
And G-force as well will be lower in those suits, so you'll pass out quicker. We're also increasing the G-force tolerance in things like the combat and racing flight suits, so it's not all just a negative. FPS radar, when that comes, that's going to make a huge difference. It's between the weight classes for a start, because bigger things, they're noisier. You'll hear them on your passive radar.
A good example is combat helmets are seen as the default right now because they're the main archetype that we have online, but that will make more noises and emissions. So you'll get less feedback, but then you'll obviously be quiet and less picked up by radar and scanning and things like that.
Yeah, if you wear lights, you'll all have the same strength radar, but being light gives you the ability to get so many meters closer before you're picked up. And and we keep alluding to this, but I'd say the most important feature is the mass mitigation, and that affects the weight affecting the player. Like you weigh more, obviously, the whole thing together weighs more, but if you have like heavy arms and then a heavy core and heavy legs, and then you've got a railgun in your arms, right? That'll be fully supported, no added weight to the player. But then if you start taking pieces off or making them like a lesser weight, that will start, like the percentage that those arms can take will get less and less. Like, you know, if you take your legs off, like it doesn't matter what your arms can lift because your legs are still taking the weight of that thing completely.
Yeah, it's very nitty gritty this obviously, but we still do have like high level archetypes as well. So like things like, you know, having like medic armor and things like that are
this is way
this is in the weeds, but we also do have the high level ideas of like, you know, different combat armors, different, like we have the scanning armor and things like that. What is it called, the hunter armor and things like that, which obviously we're like way better at scanning and things like that. So there's some like very high level, easy to understand stuff, and then you have this stuff which is down in like the nitty gritty weeds of it.
Yeah. Like reducing the amount of times you're going to see somebody in a hospital gown carrying around a railgun.
Exactly.
So you know, if you want to be able to keep a railgun up and on your shoulder and use it, you're going to need to actually increase the mass of your armor in order to have that
Benefit.
The support system you know, to you, so make it possible for you to carry it.
Yeah. And finally, this is finally on
this is
point.
not finally, by the way.
No.
You have "and finally" written in here 3 times.
Yep.
Luke, this is not "and finally."
This is
not "and finally."
And finally on the weight class, right? Because this is what we're talking about. Weight classes, they span all of these archetypes and that. Like, you know, you can have a heavy medic maybe. So EVA, controversial maybe. EVA will be removed from undersuits as it is now, so everybody having it, and put on some but not all flight suits and cores. And we'll be introducing an EVA backpack for those who don't have EVA built into the suit, or if you do have EVA built into your suit and you just want more fuel and more oxygen, you can also put that on as well.
It's you're basically adding a whole lot of choice. Basically a whole lot of tactical decisions between what you wear. It's not just going to be about rule of cool. You have to understand the situation that you're going into and the best loadout for that situation. Not just bringing the right weapons, but soon, or when the time comes.
If you know you're going into like fight that you're Mondi, you might want to bring people with like more medic suits, for example, because you know you're gonna have to heal each other more and things like that. Of course,
if you don't have EVA, you just bring your fire extinguisher, right?
Yeah. Okay. And final, no. So that's weight classes. There's a difference between combat and utility, like